Hello, everybody! Anime Reflux. Kenji's not here. In brackets, yet. We're not sure
Yeah,
whether he's going to be here or not. He didn't say. Um,
and patient hasn't said anything, so I don't know, but sure, he's here.
yeah, kinda. So, anime this week was Code Breakers,
Yeah, code breaker
which
because
did not come up a
yeah.
single time in the episode.
It's probably something important, I guess, or something. It's probably the power that he has
Maybe.
of our main male love interest.
Hmm.
So this show uh, starts with our generic girl.
Oh, she's not
Uh,
generic. She's
no, yeah, rather. She's with our little Miss Mary here
hmm,
is
quite
on the
contrary.
Very
bus. Hi,
attractive
patient.
in looks, good in martial arts, top of the class, pretty much the envy of every single person in the school.
Mm-hmm.
And we open with her on a bus ride home at night for some reason.
Yeah, and she sees people burning with blue flames, which that's kind of odd.
Yeah,
And
and
then she
apparently the bus
sees,
driver didn't see it somehow.
and then there's just a guy there.
Maybe because the bus driver was keeping his eyes glued to the road like a bus driver is supposed to.
Like, there's a thing called peripheral vision, though. Like, he would be approaching that and say, wow, that's a weird blue flame over there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hmm.
So yeah, uh, sees I think she saw the main male protagonist. I can't remember his name. She sees him,
Ogami.
Origami over there,
Hmm.
and Origami is burning people up, and she's like, "Well, that's really odd." Uh, and
Fairness, she does the right thing. Stop the bus. I'm calling the police. We need to, like, people dying. That's kind of a problem.
but then she gets there, and there's nobody there.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's really odd. Uh, Next day, I guess.
Also, I like that the first responding officer was on a bicycle. That's just not something
Japan.
you see in this country. Or yours, I assume.
No, not really. Unless it's a motorcycle.
That would make me terrified of bicycles, to be perfectly honest, if your country used bicycles for your police. Anyway, uh, yeah, so nothing was there, just scorch marks on the ground, and the cops are like, it's just, you know, some hobos lit some fires or something.
Hmm.
Next day, going to school, and, I think the Aikido practice was first for some
Yeah.
reason. Seems a little odd that, you know,
I
martial
think it was
arts club is.
jujitsu. I don't know. Or judo.
The subtitle specifically said Aikido.
Keto. Okay. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was basically that, and she curb stomps everyone.
Hmm.
And she walks in and it's like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. And oh my gosh, she's so smart. And oh, if she was my girlfriend, yeah.
Etc. etc.
Yeah.
Then
Also, her name is Sakura because, of course, it is.
Because of course it is in every single one of these shows that we've watched.
insert hyperactive best friend who comes up to her. Not a lot of detail given on that friend. So they're basically
I think her name was
chatting
Al
about
something. I don't know.
Alba, right?
Hmm.
So they're walking along and they come across one of the teachers, and they come across the teacher. She sees Ogami as basically the new transfer student who had moved to town alone because of his parents' work. And well,
That's
she recognizes
Yeah, she recognizes him, and that's pretty much it for that until the end of the school day. And like, hey, you probably know English really well. And he's like, no, I don't know English at all. He's like, where did your parents work? And he's like, what country did your parents work? Or something. He's like, oh, we spent a lot of time in Europe, which he apparently thinks is a country. Yeah, that eyebrow raise, but whatever. And Sakura insists on talking to him privately.
Which then gets the whole school riled up because, oh, is she confessing? She's probably confessing. Oh my gosh, she's confessing.
And so they're off to the roof where the two of them are standing alone.
Ish.
Except for the entire school watching from the surrounding windows.
Which neither of them comment on.
No, they're speaking just quietly enough to not be overheard.
Somehow, despite keeping a respectful distance of about 10 feet away from each other, and also about 5 feet away from all the windows, somehow they're not heard by anyone else.
And she's like, I'm suspicious of you, mysterious hot guy who suddenly transferred into our class. Gosh, have I ever heard this before? And
so she's basically blunt about her inquisition, asks what the glove is for, and he says that he takes it off when she accuses him of burning people alive the previous night, and he basically reveals an ordinary hand underneath with a small silver ring on one finger, and says that someone gave him the ring, the glove, years back when he hurt someone with that hand and wanted to make sure it never happened again. So Sakura is left flat-footed and doesn't really know how to respond. So they go their separate ways, and best friend Alba comes up, and everyone gets the impression that Ogami turned Sakura down. And cue the big what.
We must all hate him and crucify him, for he has turned down our school Idoru.
And then cut to one scene later when he's out playing basketball, and everyone is...
Everyone's wearing full uniform playing basketball. Like, it's not even jackets and shirts doing different teams. It's everyone's in the full uniform. That must be uncomfortable as hell. Like, ugh.
So basically, hateful feelings gone because he's suddenly coming up to the point of being just as popular. And she...
Oh, right. Everyone hated him before that scene, didn't they? I forgot about that. Like, literally 10 seconds of hating
but
him.
He's beautiful too, so they'll make beautiful babies.
Moving on from that train of thought, basically Sakura begins stalking him, trying to reconcile what she saw with him, and doesn't make any progress with it. So she gives up for the day and doesn't give up. She goes to the scene of the crime because culprits always return to the scene of the crime. I've heard that mentioned a couple of times in fantasy. Is that actually a thing?
I don't think so.
It's mentioned a lot in everything. I think the train of thought is if you do a crime, you want to come back and you want to see what exactly was the result of what you did.
Well, more you want to see the results of the investigation. Are they actually finding anything out? Are they figuring anything out? Can they lead it back to you? Kind of thing.
Yeah,
which kind of makes sense.
That's kind of
that makes sense.
So there's the train of thought there.
Right.
If it's fantasy stuff, though, I get the feeling that's not so much the case. Like, no one even thinks a crime happened. I think you're good and don't really need to go back.
Fair enough. So anyway, scene of the crime is off of a park, and we cut to her feeding a rice ball to a stray dog, takes it out of her hand, nicely enough, and she bends down to pet the dog, and the dog skitters away, and she throws a tantrum.
Can dogs eat rice?
I know birds can't eat rice. I don't know about dogs. I'm gonna look that up.
I'm curious about that because I know my dog probably wouldn't.
Safe. Dogs can eat plain white rice or pasta after it's cooked.
Okay, so...
Oh, and a serving of plain white rice with some boiled chicken can sometimes make a dog feel better when she's having stomach problems. That's really nice. Okay, good to know.
Oh, yeah. The more you learn, the more you know.
This is an educational show.
Okay, so basically, a short while after that, Okami does show up, and he tries to comfort the dog. He tries to get the dog's attention, and succeeds effortlessly.
Yeah.
Sakura...
I want to point out, it was about this time that I really noticed the soundtrack and really noticed it sounded a lot like a cartoon from the 90s.
Yeah, the soundtrack is so off for this show.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit.
Mm-mm.
Well, that said, he basically... Hold on a second.
Sure.
Hold on.
Well,
So he's nice to the dog, and Sakura is all like, you know what? Maybe he's not so bad after all if he's nice to a dog, because surely serial killers and other violent people aren't also nice to dogs.
yeah.
Or, I mean, the dog would be able to sense the inner malice or something like that, animals. So. But anyway, she talks with him about it, and they discuss the dog's previous owner, a homeless man who was killed by a gang which was presided over by a hired gang that basically hushed up all their actions and ensured that the police couldn't do anything about them. And he discusses, does she want to take revenge on them for what they did? And she responds that she does not, but she still regrets what happened.
Yeah,
So,
and he's all,
He
you know,
gives his
you
own
want
code.
revenge?
Yeah.
You want revenge? Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth,
Evil
for evil.
Mm.
And I'm just like, wow. I thought you were Chuny before with the hand thing, but
Funnily
that's
enough,
pushing it.
she is also like, okay, the evil for evil thing is a bit much. Like,
Yeah, it's like Hammurabi's code. Yeah, I get that, but like, you added a bit on your own there at the end. Evil for evil.
But all things considered, once that serious moment passes, in comes the sun, and he says something cheerfully that just lightens the mood. So, not really much. She basically has her suspicions dispelled because he manages to convince her in her mind that
because
it
a dog
couldn't
likes
really-
him. Yeah.
Yeah, because a dog likes him, and surely people can't be nice to dogs, but also mean to people.
Well, it's a dog that has severe trust issues with people. I think that might influence. So anyway, midway point cutscene, and back to school the next day. And what have we got? It's basically... Oh, yeah.
You're cutting out that patient.
And she says that she's doing it for Sakura to try to play matchmaker, basically, because she assumes that Sakura has feelings because she hasn't disabused Alba of that notion yet. Well, she's just oblivious to...
I wonder if she's just oblivious to everything. Like,
so she's busy, and he says that he has work, and he says that he's a trash collector, garbage man. And he gets a call on his phone saying that work was calling him already, walks out, and... Oh yeah, there was also a cut to the Japanese Prime Minister saying that
Yeah, a sudden cut to the Japanese Prime Minister saying, yeah, he's in place.
All that's left is for him to begin. So apparently the government is in on this, and so we have him talking on his phone, and he just says, agreed, take out the trash, and then they ask what he's going to do about Sakura, and he pauses for a minute, then takes on a pleasant smile and says, I'm not going to do much of anything, giving you the thought for a second that, seeing as how he's dispelled all doubt, he's just going to let it lie there, and then he casually states that he's going to eliminate her. So, there's that.
Fair play.
Cut back to the park, where Sakura is trying with the dog again, with another rice ball, and failing again, and throwing a tantrum again.
I don't remember this bit.
And then she hears someone crying out nearby. And
we skipped a scene in the diner with the friend, and like Sakura eats like a hamster, basically. It was entirely pointless, but I thought it was cute.
Fair enough. Yeah, that was back when she was saying that she was going to basically stalk Kogami about seeing what was going to happen. So, back to the park, and we cut to generic gang that was mentioned before about the law, because patrons, basically, and they're beating up a civilian who they're interrogating about.
He's a homeless guy. He's a homeless guy who lives there. That's why they think he knows what happens to the people that disappeared. Yeah.
And so in comes Sakura for apparent hero moment, and she shows her phone saying that she had called 110, which is apparently a thing in Japan.
Japanese police number.
Yeah. I remember I thought it was 119, but then I realized it's not. It's 110.
Interesting. So maybe today really is an educational show.
Yeah.
All right, so basically from there we have she takes in their tattoos and sees that they're the ones that are above the law, and the leader comes out and says that he was just curious about his friends that had disappeared in that area. And Sakura...
She's like, oh, those guys that disappeared 2 days ago? Bright spot,
so
this one.
Basically, she confirms that it happens, and then she says, now that I know that it actually happened, I have no more business with you. And so she's basically thinking that she's going to leave, and then the guys start coming at her and attacking her, and she...
Yeah, again, not exactly a bright spark, this one. Like, why keep the information secret at this point? She saw some dude burning them alive, and they're probably dead. And that's pretty much all she knows.
Fair enough.
And that would have gotten her out of the situation, basically. Or it might have.
Or it might have exacerbated it. Either way, they attack her, and she uses her martial arts skills to fend them off.
Might have exacerbated it more than punching all of them. I don't... Okay.
So, she fends them off initially with relative ease. I mean, martial artists versus a bunch of formless thugs. If number's the only thing they have on their side, not really a surprise. Then up sneaks a guy with a taser, and then they start kicking her around, and in comes the dog. And the dog bites the offender, and the dog gets kicked away and gets back up and tries it again. And
you can make your bad guys seem really bad by making them hurt animals like dogs.
Yeah, it's almost like that's the name of the trope, even with the same animal and with
It's
the
almost
same
like
exact action.
it's almost like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure did the thing in the entire series, in which the creator loved dogs so much, so the worst thing you could imagine the bad guy doing was hurting or killing a dog. So you have tons of dogs getting hurt or killed in that series.
Moving along,
Hmm.
and I will say it's a fair trope. I mean, honestly,
Hmm.
we don't like animal cruelty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't really
we don't
fault the
like it.
effectiveness of it, yeah.
So yeah, they kick the dog around a lot, and Sakura gets, once the electricity wears off, she gets back up, and despite having her hands tied behind her back with a belt, she fends off the people beside her with kicks, and then kneels in front of the dog, saying that she'll fight them. And gang leader plus his right-hand man, I guess, they start approaching her ominously, and she turns away from them to try comforting the dog, saying that she'll get the dog to a hospital, and unsurprisingly, they take advantage of this and kick her away. Then they approach her more, stepping over the dying body of the dog. And right as they're about to start wailing on her again, suddenly Ogami is there, kneeling beside the dog. And observing that with all of its injuries, there's no way it can survive, praises it for defending Sakura, and then breaks its neck to put it out of its misery.
And the moment is treated like a moral event horizon, kind of. Like, oh man, this guy is evil for killing the dog that was going to die anyway and was just suffering needlessly.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that didn't seem all that evil to me. I mean, sure, it's not something that you would want to do, but if it was beyond saving, then putting it out of its misery sooner is the better thing. It's the merciful thing to do, I'd say.
It's not something you want to do, but it's something you should do.
Yeah.
And then the origami killer shows his true identity as the garbage man. There is a garbage man from Marvel.
Why? Why, Zero?
Why?
So the origami killer goes and he takes out the trash by burning it.
In
because
fairness,
that's how
he
you get rid of
says,
trash.
hey, are you going to turn yourselves in? And he goes, no, fuck you, and runs up and tries to attack him. So he goes, okay, grabs his face, and fire.
No, it wasn't quite that. He burns the gang leader alive with mystical blue fire, and blue fire is in his hand as he gives the gang their ultimatum: turn yourselves in or die. And because this is generic gang of thugs with no common
self-preservation instincts, yeah.
Yeah.
No, so
Yeah.
they basically react as thugs are prone to do, and right-hand man charges him, tries stabbing him with a knife. He manages to knock away the fiery hand once, then Ogami grabs his face, burn. Then the rest of the gang charges him.
You think after the first two, people would be like, okay, no, I think I'm good.
I'm good. I mean, we should probably report this to our superiors.
Like, if I run away, I don't have...
just died, so we need to go. We need to go.
Like, if I run away, I don't have to turn myself in. I can just go talk to my superiors and make this a thing. But...
So there we have the numbers, and they're all gone. So only Sakura is left, kneeling there and watching the events unfold in horror. And he approaches her, saying, oh yeah, and also while killing, he recites his mantra, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, evil for evil. And then he approaches her and says, it was his classmates that I said I hope we could be friends. Then he grabs her face and says, "Burn away," or something like
He
that.
says, I lied.
Her eyes widen in horror, and then out come the flames, and
credits.
she starts screaming, and that's it. Ends the episode there.
And I said this right after I watched it. Self-contained, that's actually just a pretty good short story.
Yeah, like if that ended there, that would be pretty interesting.
You know, I didn't think of that, but I have to admit that you have a point.
I
Like,
mean,
even morally, it actually has some impact. Like, yeah, okay, he's murdering generic thugs, but as far as we know, she didn't do anything, and that could be taken as a message of, okay, if you use these kind of tactics, eventually you're just going to go too far and kill someone that doesn't deserve it. That works, like, really well.
Yeah, all of that, except for the bit where we cut to a few other people around Japan who
Yeah.
are reacting to the use of the fire, and one guy says, "I'm waiting for you, Ogami." So,
if this thing wasn't about being shoujo, look at all your husbandos, you could have made a really good short story, or maybe even a bunch of short stories centering around this figure.
but we don't review short stories on this show, do we?
Well, you
We
could do
did
it episodic.
once. Yeah.
You could do an episodic series, but that's not what this is going to be.
No. Which is a shame. In fact, I'd say watch the first episode. It's alright. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's okay. You know,
You know,
the generic,
although
hey, she's great at everything girl, but, you know, whatever.
The main character is generic, but, you know, the ending saves it, I guess.
Yeah, where she just dies pointlessly for basically no reason. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Well, no, it's more like she's generic, but in a short story format, it wasn't like she necessarily needed to be super fleshed out, because that would have been all the screen time she had.
Yeah.
So it would have worked. But no, instead she's going to end up being alive somehow and brought into this crazy world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't dislike the plot, and we don't really know that it's bad, do we? So,
I don't know if it's bad or anything, but I just feel like this would be a good cutting off point.
Yeah.
That being said, it could still end up being really good in the long run, but I don't know.
It could, but from the summary, it read like the rest of the series is going to be her soapboxing to him about how he shouldn't kill people. And yeah.
There's something to be said for the aspects of the story.
The what aspects, sorry?
The unstated, the not explicit, the implicit.
Yeah.
And like if she's going to go soapboxing to him about this, then it loses a lot, I feel.
Yeah.
but listeners, judge for yourselves if you want to watch this.
Please.
We recommend it.
Watch it, and if you like it, keep watching it. Tell us how it is, because I'm interested to see where this goes, I guess.
But not interested enough to watch ourselves.
Yeah. Like, I'm interested to see if it's actually good. If it's actually good, tell me. But if it's not, then, well, sorry.
I mean, maybe I'll watch some more of it, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, since Kenji's not here, who's going to be rolling?
0.
I will roll with my magical roller of pure randomness. That is awesome. Okay, what's 1 to 27?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got number 10.
J.
That doesn't work for the J.
What was that?
Letter.
22, I said.
22.
Good chance of JoJo here.
We got 8.
8. Missed JoJo by 1. The winner is J.K. Meshi.
What was it, sorry?
Could you link that to us?
1 second. Okay. Pulling up the Google anime page. Pulling up anime list.
What was it?
Whoa.
J.
It starts with a J. That's what we know.
Well, this is a problem. No synopsis on the Go-Go anime
You
page.
gonna
Oh,
tell us what the thing is?
Okay.
Oh.
J.K. Meshi. All right.
It's
So,
about
let
cooking.
me-
Meshi means food. So
Oh,
Okay, let me look, see if I can find more information about the series. Because okay, here we go. In Japanese, JK is an abbreviation for Joshi Kosei or high school girl, and Meshi means cooked rice or meal. So it is only suitable that the anime focuses on 3 high school girls, Reina, Ryoka, and Ruriko, who have mastered the art of cooking simple B-class dishes called JK Meshi.
okay.
okay. Looking at the length of the episode now.
Yeah, it's a
At-
good idea.
At
Yeah, 3 minutes,
on,
30 seconds.
on
Nope.
Crunchy, yeah, no, on Crunchyroll has a 2 out of 5 stars. So
Wow. Okay. Hmm.
with
Alright,
most
so
of the most of its rating, it's 1.
Alright, so it's another
Full roll.
one of those that was just
Yeah.
Oh
really
no, it's
short
just
stint.
J. It's just in the J, so it's 22. 0.
Yeah, we're gonna roll again. So we're rolling in the J's again.
Yep.
Work already.
Okay, we got this time 22.
20.
Wow, the last one.
The last one. All right.
There is no 22 because I just took that
Oh
one.
right.
Okay, so then 21 would be it.
Alright.
Just do the last one.
Ju Ose. Translation: Planet of the Beast King.
I feel like that's not the
Okay.
translation, but it's yeah okay. It's the
Uh,
alternative name. Let's call it.
Okay, Juosei, Planet of the Beast King. After the murder of their parents, 11-year-old twin brothers Thor and Rai Klein are sent away from their home planet. They find themselves awakening on the terraformed planet of Chimera, where carnivorous plants dominate and the few humans who live there are divided into 4 groups known as rings. Soon after, they meet a young man by the name of Zaggy, and the twins learn that only the Juosei, the one who conquers these 4 rings, and driven by the desire to return home and discover the truth of his parents, Thor resolves to survive in the harsh, merciless environment of Chimera. However, he quickly learns there's more than meets the eye in this strange ecosystem. As Thor is swept up in the politics and take of the rings, he uncovers more about his parents' murder and ultimately humanity's fate as a whole.
Is this basically Otherworld Thor, like the film Thor?
Yes, it's basically Thor.
Marvelous.
Ah.
Here comes another Persona-esque episode. So this series is 11 episodes long.
Okay, and like
Oh, seriously, good job.
this actually seems pretty interesting, I guess. Like, I like the concept of trying to get back to your planet and conquering all these different rings and everything.
Hmm.
So it might be good. I don't know. But I guess we'll have to find out.
Yep.
Planet of the Beast King.
I'm just gonna link to the GoGo page so that we don't have the giant text scroll being the link. There we go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Juosei is the anime that we're gonna watch next week. So, thanks for listening, everybody. Surprisingly educational this episode, so it's a nice change of pace.
You can feed your dog rice.
You can, and in some cases
Only one.
should, with chicken.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
I'm waving at the microphone for no reason. Bye, everybody.
Well, that's just you.
You just sight gagged for an audio recording.
Yeah.
He does that all the time.
Yeah, he does.